Terror flared as Sevyn crawled toward shelter, staff in hand. He collapsed, the cave shaking, dust swirling and hope fading. He glimpsed the oncoming nightmare. Tremors split the earth, panic thundering in his veins. Through choking dust, Sevyn's heart stuttered at the vision. A goblin army, a tide of warped flesh and jagged fangs, eyes fever-bright with malice, boiling toward him beneath a sky bruised with doom. The horde moved forward, stretching as far as Sevyn could see, and larger than any enemy he had faced before. His hope faded, replaced by fear. Alone and trembling, Sevyn faced what felt like certain doom. This was no ordinary storm, but a tempest of terror, fear and despair swirling, ready to swallow him whole. The air sparked with peril, every instinct screaming for flight. Was there a path to salvation, or would he be lost, another echo devoured by the dark? Every goblin in the realm seemed rallied under one banner, a maddened tide of green fury. These were not the ordinary goblins from the woods, but twisted creatures with burning, malevolent eyes. Death loomed as the horde closed to less than 300 meters, driven by rage. Surrounded like a monstrous wave, Sevyn faced the inescapable. This was the end. Just as Sevyn was about to give up, an explosion of light and sound scattered the goblins in confusion. From the center of the chaos, a woman in a gold cloak appeared, her presence strong and bright. With a smooth motion, she pulled Sevyn to safety, standing out as a beacon in the chaos. Ushered to safety, Sevyn turned. Her cloudy grey eyes held a familiar glint, reminiscent of the twins in a trance. Who was she? Why save him? Mystery lingered, but survival demanded his focus. He was alive, barely for now. The storm of chaos thundered onward, and as the echoes ebbed, Sevyn braced himself for the next ordeal, heart pounding with the feverish promise of fate yet unspun. The funeral home was dim, heavy with worry and urgency. Shadows clung to the woodwork and old curtains, deepening the sense of dread. Pollux lay motionless on a brocade table, his skin damp and his breathing weak. He looked more dead than alive, trapped between life and death. The air mixed the smell of sickness with lilies meant for the dead. This was more than a goodbye. It was a desperate struggle with a strange illness that blurred the line between the human world and the realm of demons. The clock ticked loudly, adding to the tension. Mr. Abgel paced, his face set with both determination and fear. He gripped the thermometer so hard his knuckles whitened, knowing it was no match for what they faced. "I know when my son is sick. Believe me, he is far from well. We need to halt this infection before it completely consumes him," he said, his voice trembling with worry and love. "Does he have a fever?" LaChapelle asked, breaking the silence. Her voice was tense with worry, and her arms crossed tightly. The question only made everyone more anxious. "Yes," Mr. Abgel replied, his voice strained with panic. "A fever of 106 degrees. We need to break it before it causes brain damage." His hands shook as he opened the freezer and pulled out ice packs, the cold biting his skin, in contrast to Pollux's burning heat. "I hope you don't expect those to work," LaChapelle said, her voice warning and worried. Her usual confidence was gone as she watched Pollux sweat and twitch. "This isn't a normal fever. The symptoms are too strange and don't respond to regular treatments. I spend most days in the palace, but I saw this illness once before." The memory clearly troubled her. "What do you mean?" Chance asked, clearly afraid. He gripped a chair, heart pounding as he watched Pollux struggle. His cousin, once lively, now looked like a shadow. "If it's not an infection, then what is it?" he whispered, dreading the answer. LaChapelle took a deep breath and leaned in, lowering her voice. "In the demon realm, some beings have powers that break the rules of existence. The more I see Pollux's symptoms, the fever, the strange changes, the way he resists healing, the more I believe this is not a normal illness. Something has hurt Pollux's soul. We don't know what kind of demon is behind this or what curse is inside him. We must be careful. Reality itself could be at risk." Her words made everyone even more afraid, and the tension grew. "You still haven't told me what's wrong with my son," Mr. Abgel shouted, losing control. His voice was urgent and full of heartbreak, his eyes desperate. "You said it's not an infection. Then what is it?" He clenched his fists, desperate for answers. A heavy silence filled the room. Even the clock seemed to stop. Each second dragged on as Lachapelle considered her answer. Everyone felt the pressure of time and feared for Pollux. Her voice was grave and urgent, her hands moving sharply to show the danger. In the background, the stone operating table, still stained from old rituals, stood as a chilling reminder of what was at stake. The room felt full of dread, as if the walls themselves were listening. Mr. Abgel's heart pounded with despair. He breathed heavily and stepped back, feeling the world spin. He looked from the stained table to his son, who was suffering and afraid. Pollux seemed more like a frightened animal than a boy. Overcome by grief and fear, Mr. Abgel lost control. He turned and ran from the room, his footsteps echoing as he searched for a way to help. "How did we come to this?" he said, his voice heavy with pain and disbelief. "Pollux was supposed to be my successor. This curse should never have happened to him." His words faded into the darkness, his struggle clear, while Lachapelle's calm made his pain stand out even more. What happens next will decide Pollux's fate. "Are you ready to make the decision?" Lachapelle asked, looking closely at Mr. Abgel, hoping to see some clarity in his confusion. "Are you really saying I should treat my son like one of those demons? He's my child, not an experiment," Mr. Abgel shouted, his voice shaking with fear and anger at the idea. Lachapelle stayed calm. "We need to act quickly. There's no time to wait. Do you have any other ideas? We must keep him safe if things get worse," she said, her eyes determined. Chance, who had been quiet as a shadow in the flickering half-light, piped up. His voice trembled with the strain of suppressed fear and hope. "Uncle Jar, what about the detox chair? It's designed to restrain the body." He hesitated, glancing at Pollux's writhing form. "Though warning, the restraints are every bit as menacing as those on the operating table." The memory of its cold, steel manacles and the faint scent of burning sage from past rituals seemed to linger in the air. His suggestion hovered between hope and dread, the weight of responsibility etched across his face as he searched the others for support. "You might be right," Mr. Abgel said, a bit of hope in his tired eyes. "Let's take Pollux to the detox room. You two can come if you want." He quickly picked up Pollux, wincing at the heat from his son's skin. Pollux trembled and scratched weakly at his father's shoulder. Every step Mr. Abgel took showed his urgency and fear, as well as his determination to save his son. Mr. Abgel rushed down the hallway to the detoxification room, his fear rising with every step. The flickering lights cast odd shadows over Pollux, making his transformation even more unsettling. Pollux's copper skin faded to a bright, unnatural green that nearly glowed. His muscles twitched as his body twisted, bones cracking. His toes stretched and fused into 3 thick, clawed digits. With each step, Mr. Abgel feared they might already be too late. "At the detox chair, mister." Abgel's hands trembled as he strapped Pollux's twitching limbs with heavy leather restraints. The chair, old and made of black iron, was covered in faded symbols meant to ward off evil. Sweat dripped down Mr. Abgel's face as he tightened the buckles, the air thick with the sharp scent of fear and old magic. When he looked at his son, he saw reptilian eyes with slit pupils and gold-ringed irises. Pollux's lips parted, and a serpent's tongue flicked out, so strange that Mr. Abgel recoiled, his heart pounding. The transformation was speeding up right in front of him. Mr. Abgel's heart broke as he watched his son's humanity slip away with each painful breath. Grief and fear pressed down on him, leaving him hollow. He stood at the brink of despair, knowing his next decision would shape not only Pollux's fate, but their family's future. Could he fight the darkness, or would he lose everything to the demon realm? The question echoed in his mind, each time making him feel weaker. "If you take my son, you'll have to deal with me," Mr. Abgel said, his voice cutting through the silence and challenging anyone to respond. It felt as if the universe itself was about to intervene. The world around them seemed alive, tied to their fate. "Careful, Mr. Abgel. If you keep talking like that, maybe lightning will strike to prove a point. Are you planning to become a villain? You don't seem like someone with a dark secret," LaChapelle said, her voice dripping with sarcasm and a playful smirk as she met his eyes. "Everyone has darkness inside. But you, LaChapelle, are evil itself," Mr. Abgel replied, his voice defiant but wary. "Why are you so interested in my nephew? You're a succubus, and your kind has taken billions of souls. So why him? What makes chance so important to you? You're one of the oldest succubae in the demon realm, so you must have planned this carefully. How long have you been pretending to be human?" He couldn't shake the feeling she was hiding something dark behind her charm. LaChapelle laughed, the sound echoing in the room, but her eyes held both mischief and sadness. "Being a demon doesn't mean I can't feel love or compassion," she said, her voice heavy with memory.